Chapter 1. How Far Away? Jack and Annie walked past the Frog Creek woods on their way home from the library. I miss Teddy, said Annie. Me too, said Jack. He's a really smart dog, said Annie. Yeah, said Jack, and brave. And wise, said Annie. And funny, said Jack. And here, said Annie. What? Said Jack. Here! Annie pointed at the Frog Creek woods. A small dog with tan-colored fur was peeking out from the bushes. Arf, arf, he barked. Oh, wow, Teddy, said Jack. The little dog ran off into the woods. Let's go, said Annie. She and Jack raced after Teddy. The Frog Creek woods glowed with late afternoon sunlight. The dog ran between the trees and finally stopped at a rope ladder. It hung from the tallest oak tree and led up to the magic tree house. Teddy waited for Jack and Annie to catch up. He panted and wagged his tail. Hi, you, cried Annie. She picked up the little dog and hugged him. We missed you. Yeah, silly, said Jack. He kissed Teddy. Teddy licked his face. Is it time to get our third gift? Asked Annie. Teddy sneezed as if to say, of course. Annie grabbed the rope ladder and started up. Jack put Teddy inside his backpack and followed. They climbed into the treehouse. There was a note from Morgan Le Fay. It was on the floor, just where it had been 2 days ago. Jack let Teddy out of his pack. Annie picked up the note and read, This little dog is under a spell and needs your help. To free him, you must be given 4 special things. A gift from a ship lost at sea, a gift from the prairie blue, a gift from a forest far away, a gift from a kangaroo. Be wise, be brave, be careful. Morgan. Jack touched the first 2 gifts, which they had already gotten, a pocket watch from the Titanic and an eagle's feather from the Lakota Indians of the Great Plains. Now we have to get the gift from a forest far away, said Annie. I wonder how far away, said Jack. I know how to find out, said Annie. Where's that book? She and Jack looked around the treehouse for one of the research books that Morgan always left them. Arf, arf! Teddy pawed a book in the corner. Jack picked it up and read the title. Wildlife of India. Oh man, India, he said. That's very far away. Let's get going, said Annie, so we can free Teddy. Jack pointed at the cover of the book. I wish we could go there, he said. The wind started to blow. The treehouse started to spin. It spun faster and faster. Then everything was still. Absolutely still. But only for a moment. Chapter 2. Caw and Co. The warm air burst with sound. Caw-co! Ee-ee! Awk-awk! What's going on? Said Jack. He and Annie looked out the window. The sky was lit by an orange glow as the sun went down. The treehouse was in a tree by a stream at the edge of a forest. The wild screeching and cawing came from the forest's tall, leafy trees. Just then 2 creatures leaped onto the windowsill. Ah! Jack and Annie yelled, jumping back. Annie burst out laughing. Arf, arf, Teddy barked. 2 small monkeys peered at them. Their dark faces were framed with light gray fur. They looked as if they were wearing tiny parkas. Hi, said Annie. I'm Annie. He's Jack, and he's Teddy. What are your names? Caw-co, caw-co, the monkeys chattered. Cool, said Annie. She turned to Jack. Her name is Caw, his name is Co. Oh, brother, said Jack. I bet he is your brother, said Annie. Caw and Co whooped as if laughing at Annie's joke. Their yellow eyes twinkled. We came to get a gift from the forest, said Annie. Do you know where we can find it? The monkeys nodded and chattered. Then they started down the tree. Using their long tails and arms, they swung from branch to branch. They jumped to the ground and looked up. Coming! Bring Teddy, Jack, said Annie. Then she started down the ladder. Jack quickly flipped through Wildlife of India. He found a picture of the gray monkeys. He read, This monkey is called a langur. The word langur means having a long tail. Jack pulled his notebook and pencil out of his backpack. He wrote, "Lingur means long tail." Annie's laughter came from below. It blended with the sounds of the forest. "Arf, arf," barked Teddy. Okay, said Jack. He put the book, his notebook, and Teddy into his pack. Then he hurried down the ladder. Annie was playing with the langurs on the stream bank. Jack put Teddy on the ground. Kaa bounded over to Jack and grabbed his hand. The langur's paw felt like a tiny human hand. Kaa pulled Jack toward the forest. Ko pulled Annie, and Teddy scampered after them. The langurs climbed the huge leafy trees. Then they began swinging from branch to branch like kids on a jungle gym. Annie dashed beneath the swinging monkeys. Teddy ran after her. Wait, Jack called, hurrying after them all. Annie, slow down. We don't know anything about this place. The langurs slowed down, as if they understood Jack's words. Jack caught up with Annie. They walked on through the forest. "This is so amazing," said Annie. Jack agreed. The sunset gave the trees a fiery glow. The hot air smelled sweet. Blue peacocks spread their tails. Yellow birds flew from tree to tree. Small deer ate red flowers in a clearing. "It's like paradise," said Annie. "Yeah, but don't forget the title of our book, Wildlife of India," said Jack. Wildlife means scary animals too. Jack noticed long, deep gashes in the tree as they walked by. He stopped. "What happened there?" he said. Annie shrugged and kept walking. Jack pulled the book out of his pack. There was a picture of a tree with gashes. He read aloud, "Tigers sharpen their claws on tree trunks. They leave big gashes in the bark." "What?" said Annie. She stopped and looked back at the tree. "See what I mean?" said Jack. "Tigers live here, and one of them just came this way." Chapter 3. Life or Death. "Tigers," said Annie. "Cool." Jack read more. "A wild tiger eats almost 5,000 pounds of fresh raw meat a year." "Oh, not so cool," said Annie. Jack went on. "Tigers usually leave elephants alone, and like many smaller cats, tigers often avoid wild dogs." "What?" Teddy growled. "Wild dogs, not a shrimp like you," Jack said to Teddy. "A tiger would eat you in a minute." Teddy growled again. Just then, Kaa and Ko began hooting. "Coo, coo, coo!" The peacocks cried, "Cock, cock!" The small deer made short barking sounds and stamped their hooves. "What's going on?" said Annie. "We better put Teddy in my pack," said Jack, "to keep him safe." Jack slipped the dog into his pack. Teddy's head poked out the top. "All set?" Jack asked the little dog. Teddy growled again. This time, a deep, fierce growl answered back. It seemed to surround them. Jack's hair stood on end. "Yikes!" said Annie. "A tiger," said Jack. "Arf, arf!" Teddy barked. Kaa and Ko screeched at Jack and Annie from their tree. "They want us to join them," said Annie. "Come on." She grabbed a branch and climbed up. Jack's hands were shaking as he put his backpack on. He grabbed a branch and pushed off the ground. He pulled himself into the tree. Another growl shook the forest. "Oh, man," said Jack. "Coo, coo, coo!" The langurs climbed higher up the tree. Jack and Annie followed them, climbing from branch to branch. The sky above was no longer glowing. The bright orange had faded to a twilight gray. Jack looked down. He couldn't see the ground at all. He listened for another scary roar. Only the cries of frightened forest creatures filled the air. "Maybe the tiger's gone," said Annie. Jack glanced at Kaa and Ko. The langurs cuddled together. Their dark faces looked worried. "And maybe not," said Jack. "How can we get through the forest without running into him?" said Annie. "That's a problem," said Jack. "And it's getting dark. Soon we won't be able to see anything." Kaa and Ko hooted again. They pointed down the tree trunk. "Arf, arf!" Teddy barked from Jack's pack. "Did they see the tiger?" Jack asked, his heart thumping again. He couldn't see anything but leaves and branches. Then, far below, he saw the tree trunk move. "A snake!" said Annie. The snake was slithering around the trunk. It had black and tan markings. The snake's body was as thick as the tree trunk. A python, breathed Jack. The python kept curling up the tree trunk. Is it poisonous? Asked Annie. Jack pulled out their book. By the last light of day, he found a picture of a python. He read aloud. The python is not a poisonous snake. Whew, said Annie. Not so fast, said Jack. He read more. To kill its prey, the python squeezes it to death, then swallows it whole. A python can swallow an animal the size of a full-grown deer. Oh, yuck, said Annie. This is more than just yuck, Annie, said Jack. This is life or death. Conco chattered at Jack and Annie. Not now, said Jack. We have to think. The langurs grabbed thick vines. They leaned back. Then they jumped out of the tree. The langurs swung through the air like trapeze artists. They swung over bushes and tall grass and landed in another tree. They screeched at Jack and Annie and waved their arms. I know what they're saying, said Annie. They want us to copy them. Chapter 4, Swing Time. Annie grabbed a vine. Jack looked back at the python. The giant snake was still winding its way up the tree. It had almost reached their branch. Jack took a deep breath. Then he grabbed a vine too. Lean back, like Conco did, said Annie. Jack and Annie leaned back. 1, 2, 3, go, said Annie. They swung out of the tree. Jack felt his stomach drop. Air rushed by. Leaves and branches slapped at him. Suddenly, the forest shook with a great roar. Like a flame, a tiger leaped up from the bushes. His yellow eyes blazed. His teeth shone like daggers. His claws barely missed Jack and Annie. Ah! They yelled. The tiger crashed back down into the bushes. Jack and Annie swung into the langur's tree. Jack threw one leg around the trunk. He let go of his vine and held on tightly to a branch. Oh, man, he said. He was in shock. The langurs patted him as if to make sure he was okay. Wow, that was fun, said Annie, sitting on a big branch. Fun? Are you nuts? Said Jack. The swinging was fun, said Annie. The tiger was scary. Just then the tree began to shake. Branches snapped below. Oh, no, said Jack. Can tigers climb trees? Asked Annie. Probably, said Jack. He hugged the trunk and squeezed his eyes shut. From below came loud sounds of chewing, smacking, and crunching. Teddy growled. Jack groaned. Now the tiger's eating the tree, he said. Annie burst into laughter. Conco whooped as if they were laughing too. Arf, arf, barked Teddy. What? Said Jack, opening his eyes. Look! Annie pointed at the twilight. A thick gray tube was waving in the air. Another snake? Said Jack, horrified. No, an elephant chunk, said Annie. The chunk wiggled near Jack and Annie, as if it was sniffing them. Then it picked leaves from the tree and disappeared. Let's go see, said Annie. With Teddy still in his backpack, Jack followed Annie down to a lower branch. They peered out at the twilight forest. In the gray gloom, they saw a herd of elephants. One stood beneath their tree eating leaves. Others munched grass. Hey, I've got a really cool idea, said Annie. Chapter 5, Night Walk. Uh-oh, said Jack. What is it? I know how to escape the tiger, said Annie. Our books say tigers don't attack elephants, right? Yeah, said Jack. So we should travel through the forest on the back of an elephant, said Annie. Jack nodded slowly. That is a cool idea, he said. But no buts. I'll get on first, said Annie. She climbed down the tree until she was close to the elephant's back. She carefully lowered herself off a branch. When her feet rested on the elephant's back, she let go of the branch. Then she slowly sat down. The elephant let out a rumbling sound and shifted her weight. Don't worry, it's just me, Annie said softly. She patted the huge creature's back. Thanks, Saba. Saba, said Jack. That's her name, said Annie. She just told me. Yeah, right, said Jack. Arf, arf, barked Teddy. Come on, Jack, said Annie. It's not scary. Jack sighed and slowly climbed down the tree. When he was above Saba, he lowered himself off the branch. He put both feet on the elephant. Then he carefully sat down in front of Annie. Saba rumbled again. "Tell her not to worry," said Annie. "Pat her head." "Don't worry, Saba," Jack said. He patted the elephant's head. Her skin was rough and wrinkled. The elephant curled her trunk back and rested it on Jack's head. "Hi," he said in a small voice. Saba flapped her ears. Kaa and Ko swung to the ground in front of Saba. They chattered at her. She waved her trunk at them. The langurs began bounding through the forest. Saba followed. The rest of the herd followed in line. Saba walked with a calm, rolling motion. Jack felt as if he were riding over ocean waves. A full moon was rising above the trees. "Where are we going?" Jack asked. "Just relax," said Annie. "Kaa and Ko know where to go." "Arf, arf," Teddy barked from Jack's backpack. "You relax too," Jack said to the little dog. Fireflies blinked. The moon lit a path between the trees as the elephants marched on. From a distance came a low growl. "Is that the tiger?" Jack wondered. The elephants paid no attention. They kept walking through the warm woods. They marched slowly under hanging vines and through misty clearings. Kaa and Ko bounded ahead of them. Two moon shadows were leading the way. "We're going far from the tree house," said Jack. "Don't worry," Annie said. Suddenly, a long roar split the night. A chill went down Jack's spine. The roar came again. It turned into a yowling. The yowling turned into steady moaning. It sounded as if the whole forest were moaning. "That's a really sad sound," said Annie sleepily. "Yeah," said Jack. But the elephants all marched on. Jack rocked in sleepy rhythm with Saba's walk. He could hear Teddy snoring in his backpack. Soon Jack's head rested on Saba's back. He began drifting in and out of the dreams of rocking in a boat under the dark treetops.